Hello, in focus today at Georgetown SCS, from student capstone to community impact. Let's explore the impact of a single student project can have. We bring together Landis Masnor, an alumnus of the Urban and Regional Planning Program, who wrote his master's thesis on the tools of community development in Congress Heights, DC. Joining us is our community partner, Monica Ray, longtime community organizer, inspirational community activist, and a transformational leader with decades of experience in community and economic development.
That's quite the compliment.
So let's start with you, Landis. You were a student in the Urban and Regional Planning Program, and you organized a number of special projects. How did you come to start to work on the Soul of the City bid?
My priority with Capstone was to find some way where it could be useful just even a little bit after the paper was published and submitted. And so with the help of Uwe and Rich Bradley and Ellen and other alums like Maura Brophy, I did an interview process to search out what would be a topic that is an actual problem for someone and how can I kind of pitch my capstone towards that. And I had met Monica twice before in Rich and Ellen's classes. So she was on that list. And this idea of meeting the need and the opportunity in Congress Heights was very obvious.
That's great. Monica, I just want to thank you. You've been an incredible community partner for us, and thank you for your patience in dealing with our students. You're very generous with your time. Could you offer some reflections? Like, what were you thinking when you had the student approach you wanting to do a project?
Let me start by saying, without this Georgetown partnership, this bid never happens. No matter how much work we thought we have done, no matter how much community credibility we had, without the student engagement and being our research partner, it never happens. So Landis has been an amazing partner, not only as a student for his capstone, but since graduation, he continues to be with us. So he is the mastermind behind our geography. Landis was able to think about critically how we draw a map that's not just achievable for a bid to get votes, but also one that's manageable, one that has true impact, and has the right anchors involved. So I'm so appreciative to Landis and his work.
Landis, take us into the work that you did. I know there was a fiscal analysis associated with it. You were looking at the process associated with forming bids. What did you focus on?
So initially, we focused on 10 things. I remember you were graciously my capstone advisor. And so part of the capstone, and I think this is probably true for every capstone, is figuring out what the capstone is about. It turned into, very consciously, a bid feasibility study. So this was educational for me in how to do that, but I assessed the properties that were eligible from the bid legislation perspective and saw, was there enough money to make this work? Did a bid in Congress Heights have legs? And it did. I mean, sure, spoilers, it did. Right.
Monica, there were a lot of steps to actually make this happen, and you were the quarterback throughout this whole process. Could you offer some reflections just on the process associated with creating the bid?
This process is a heavy lift, asking people to tax themselves to reinvest in their communities. Although it sounds perfectly normal and makes a lot of sense, it was a heavy lift. Everyone wants the benefit of what a bid brings, but nobody wants the extra tax bill. So our outreach to the community was really rooted in ensuring them that we would make their investment worthwhile. And that has changed the game. There are people who originally weren't supportive, that didn't sign our petitions, and they've reached out and they've volunteered to do things to support the bid because now we're in it together. And I think we'll get there.
That's amazing. Landis, it is a unique opportunity, right, to do a master's thesis and then to stay on with it. And so I wonder just your reflections now that some of the ideas that you worked on a few years ago have now come to pass.
Yeah, I think the first thing that I am just struck by is just how grateful I am to the program for the opportunity, but also Monica for, I mean, it's an interesting, it's cool as a student at all, or as anyone, as a professional, to have planned something, especially planners, to have planned something and then to see it happen. But it's also amazing because this is such a unique, it's not like the Disney World bid where everything's kind of ready, made, and set. But it's fascinating because there's so much opportunity in Congress Heights and Bellevue and Washington Highlands. And it's already, the bid is existing within a framework that Monica has built over the last 25 years.
Almost 35 years.
Almost 35 years. I knew if I went too high, I would be in danger. For decades, right? And so it's part of an ecosystem of services and economic development activity and trust that you've already built. That's, I've worked on other bid initiatives since then. That's really unique. And the fact that it can exist in a framework like that and be really oriented towards business development and entrepreneurship and lifting up people. Bids at their most boring can be about what planter color we're going to have, and is it going to be mums this year, or is it going to be daylilies or something? And this is a really dynamic bid. So gratefulness is the first thing and the last thing maybe that I think of.
Monica and Landis, thank you so much for sharing your insights. I look forward to the next generation of collaboration between Georgetown and the Soul of the City bid. And thanks everyone out there for watching.